My next guest says law enforcement is being thrown under the bus by this president. Joining us now, Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark. Sheriff, thank you for being with us. It seems that there is literally a war being waged on law enforcement officers and agencies in this country. How does it feel?
Feels horrible. I'm here to defend the honor and the integrity and the character of law enforcement officers all across this country, and I'm going to do it with the ferociousness of a junkyard dog. Look, irreparable damage is being caused to this profession by some very powerful and important people. People like the President of the United States, the Attorney General, the Mayor of New York. Our law enforcement officers, 99.9% of them, go out every day to serve their communities with honor and distinction. Are we perfect? Far from it. But Mayor de Blasio should have to experience just for one day what New York City would be like without the NYPD. That city would collapse into utter chaos. These people are out here cop bashing, trying to score some cheap political points at the expense of our law enforcement officers.
You know, as the administration has obviously tried to exploit politically tragedy, whether it be the shooting death of Michael Brown or the chokehold death or alleged chokehold death of Eric Garner. These are two incidents, and in no way am I minimizing them, but two incidents, and this president projects that into a national crisis, a national problem, and calls for the retraining of 35,000 police officers. It will be about 25,000 of those 35,000 who are street cops who will have to go through training. Yet the president calls for no response from the community of New York, of Ferguson, Missouri. The Attorney General basically denigrates all of law enforcement, and the president is denigrating American society as racist. How do we get beyond this?
With better and more effective leadership that we're not getting right now out of anybody in Washington, D.C. Look, it's pretty obvious that Ferguson, Missouri, what happened in New York, as you indicated, tragic situations. These are not a microcosm of anything. Those are local stories. Those are for local communities to deal with. It's just getting real tiring for me and for many other officers who put this uniform on to be used as a battering ram, if you will, and try to use us to describe what's wrong with America. The police are not the problem in America, Lou. The police are one of the few things left that's right with America. And we ought to begin extolling the honor, the courage, the integrity, like we do during Law Enforcement Officer Week. President Obama and Eric Holder go down to that law enforcement memorial wall where there are the names of over 20,000 law enforcement officers who have sacrificed their lives in service to their community. They ought to stand in front of that wall and stare at it for a couple minutes, and then maybe they'd come to the realization how wrong they are. Let me say this about society, all right? White society has got to be getting tired of getting their nose rubbed in to the ugly past that slavery did to this country. They're now being made to commit sins that they did not, or being made to pay for sins that they did not commit. I'm here to extol on white society the great strides that they've made in righting those past wrongs. I am living proof of the opportunity in this country for people of all colors, all races, genders, so on and so forth. And when we start to acknowledge the strides that we've made, we will see how far we've come, and we can build off of that. But right now, this nation's coming apart, and instead of seeing President Obama's potential Gettysburg Address, he's simply just being present.
You know, I appreciate that, Sheriff, and I want to put into context just a couple of things. And that is that, one, this president knows the reality. And that's really the shame of it. He knows the truth. This is a president seeking political advantage. It's a stratagem. And he doesn't care, as you put it, how many people he throws under the bus in law enforcement. He doesn't care about the truth, and it's clear because he's too intelligent a man not to. Therefore, this is a political strategy. I'm not going to report the numbers of people who have committed murders. They're overwhelming. We know the statistics. All I'm going to say is that if there's a race problem in this country, it isn't a problem for most Americans, and you and I and everyone watching this broadcast knows it, because Americans are good people. They need to have that stated by their president. He's a president who should be, as I said earlier, elevating us, not denigrating us. Sheriff David Clarke, we thank you so much for being here and for all you do for your community and, by extension, our whole country. Thanks so much.
Lou, it's a pleasure to serve.
Thanks, Sheriff.